Hey, mamas, and welcome back to another episode of the Modern Moms Club podcast. I'm so excited because today I not only have special guests, but a friend of mine that I've known for so long. I have Ashley Gordon here with me today. Ashley is a spiritual life and manifestation coach, speaker, and yogi on a mission to help spiritual entrepreneurs let go of comparison and helping them to step into their calling and full self-expression and manifest their lives on purpose with purpose. She's the creator of the Badass Manifestor brand and Badass Manifestor podcast, an NLP master practitioner, success coach, and clinical hypnotherapist. So Ashley, thanks so much for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. I know, finally. I love everything you're doing. I love following you. I love just watching you expand and help so many people. It's so awesome.
I know, and likewise. And both of us kind of, ended up in this online space, and we'll totally dive deeper into that. But I want to give everyone kind of a background on how we met, because, we both keep saying we've known each other for so long, but I want us to share kind of like a backstory before we get into like where we are now today.
No, I love it. It's so cool because, well, Sandi and I met on a group trip to Israel. It was called Birthright. And I was 27, I think, when I went on Birthright. How old were you when you went on?
I was 26.
26, okay.
I think I had just turned 26.
Yeah. And we were both like, I was in a relationship. You were single at the time. And we were just kind of like on this amazing trip to Israel and just like with all this, such cool people. And we totally hit it off instantly. Yeah. And we were basically together the entire time, complaining about the same things the entire time.
And we have photos to prove it.
I know, we do. We really, really do. And I just remember on that trip, like being like, I really like this girl. This girl's awesome.
Yeah, and it was really cool because I feel like out of all the trips that you go on and out of all the times they do this, you know what I mean? To be connected, like because we left at the time I was living in Philly. And you live in Jersey, actually, and my shore house families, shore house that they've had for years is like probably a few blocks from where you live.
Yeah, the universe was like, you guys like kind of need to know each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about today is Ashley is a manifestation coach. So Ashley, you've learned a lot, I guess, with your NLP training just recently. You've discovered some things that maybe were, I guess, would you say barriers or kind of blocks for you?
Oh my God, I discovered so much. Yeah, so many stuck emotions that I realized that I had from like childhood and beyond, like even being in the womb, believe it or not, honestly. It sounds kind of weird to say, but that's like the work that I do with people is I help them really understand what's showing up in their reality, what's being manifested in their life and why it's being manifested, like where it's coming from, because I believe everything comes from the inside out, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we can start to look at the programs that we are, running within ourselves, which is what NLP kind of teaches you and breaks down for you, it helps you release old stuck energy to create space for what you do want to have happen.
Right. So, I love that.
Yeah. It's like,
and it makes so much sense.
It really does. And it NLP kind of puts a backbone to manifestation, in my opinion. Like, if you're listening and you're like, what is manifestation?
Right.
Basically it's how to use the power of your mind to create your life on purpose and to focus your energy on what you want as opposed to what you don't want, which is what so many people do. And they get so caught up in what's wrong and what's bad and what's not going their way that they actually miss out on the opportunity to learn from those situations and circumstances and move forward. Like even before we started recording, we were talking about Sandi's birth story a little bit and like how it didn't go the way that you had originally planned it to go.
Yeah.
Right? And then on your wedding day, you had weather issues that changed things around. And it's like, we're either going to let those things take us down or we're going to roll with it. We're going to learn from it. We're going to move with it. And we're not going to resist what's happening to us from the outside in.
Exactly. And I love how also, you were saying that like the power of living your life on purpose. And I think a lot of us, when I moved from Philly to Miami, I remember telling myself, like, you're in charge of the ship. Like you are now steering the ship. Like right now, like when I was in Philly, I was like, I enjoyed the job that I had. I knew I was ready for a change, but I was like, I felt like I was an autopilot for a while, and then once I made that leap, all of a sudden, like everything that I started doing was very intentional, which set me up for like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted. And I was allowing myself for those things to come to me now.
Totally. And I don't know if you remember this, but on our trip in Israel, you knew I was in a serious relationship, and from our trip, I was going to Greece to meet my boyfriend.
I remember.
And you were like, "You're totally going to get engaged." And I was
yeah.
"No, I'm totally not going to get engaged." You're like, "No, you are going to get engaged." And you planted that seed in my mind. And I went to Greece and we got engaged. And I called you after.
And I had just met you. Like, I didn't know anything about anything.
We didn't know each other. Completely. You just had like this intuition. And so after that happened, when I got home and we got all settled, I think you had already, or no, you probably didn't go to Miami at that point, but we talked then, and then we had talked like a few months later. I don't know if you remember.
No, I do.
And you were like, I met someone.
I remember this conversation. Like, I remember the phone call.
Yeah, me too. And I was like, oh my God. And you said, I really think that I'm going to like do this. And so you're right. You had like the steering wheel in your hand and you were like, I'm going to go for it. So we have to just go for it.
I was going to ask you, like, how does that all tie in? Because, a lot of people are like, well, what if like I have these thoughts, like, how come some things pan out and other things don't? Or how come I think about wanting something and it doesn't happen? Like, how do we become in control of like what we want?
I love that question so much. And I don't know if it's like, I always say to people, the universe knows what you want. Whatever you believe in, your higher self, God, universe, it knows what you want, and it's always going to give you what you need to learn and grow. Mm-hmm. It's always going to end up giving you what you need. And sometimes things don't go our way. They just don't. My podcast was just on this. What happens when your manifestations don't manifest, right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes things don't go our way, and how are you going to show up to that? Because you have to be a stand for your joy no matter what. Right? So you're either going to let it steal your joy, or you're going to let it propel you to be like, no, the only thing I'm actually in control of is the way that I'm choosing to respond.
Right.
And how we respond creates a ripple. So it's either going to create a ripple, and the law of attraction, right? Like energy attracts like energy, is either going to bring you more things to be mad and complain about, or it's going to bring you like a completely different experience of like, okay, we had to switch our wedding from outside to inside.
Right.
And it turned out to be like so intimate and beautiful. And like, it was a beautiful, amazing thing, better than I ever could have imagined. Right.
Like changing the thought process of, okay, but it was one way, but it's almost like when you have to change course, like mid journey, and then like realizing, okay, maybe if I went that route, cause like my mind was funny. So I had this like little backstory of my wedding. I had my parents had bought this like acrylic aisle to go over a pool for their wedding. So I could walk over the pool, like to the huppah and everything. And, I was so afraid someone was going to slip and fall into the pool. And I was like, in my back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, what if like this happens? So my first thought was, okay, maybe this is happening for a reason, because someone's going to fall into that pool if we do it outside.
Oh my God. Perfect example.
And who knows if it would have happened or not, but like, it could have.
Well, that is so beautiful, because it's a great example. Like that fear that you had, right? It came from inside of you. We have belief systems that are imprinted on us from when we were babies, and we don't even remember, right? And so we have like these deep inner critics and fears and doubts. And what ends up happening is like things will manifest that don't seem to be in alignment with what we really want, but it's just those deeper fears and doubts showing us themselves, so we can resolve them and move through them and move past them.
So I want you to dive a little bit deeper into that, because you were just saying like we're a product of our programming and like our upbringing, and maybe things that we don't even realize, we do, or maybe we feel because of something from our past or from our upbringing. You were saying that you kind of had some breakthroughs from inside the womb. So like, I want you to dive deeper, like for the moms, because maybe this is something that they've experienced, or maybe something that their kids are going through.
Totally. And so this is really, really interesting. And this is straight out of my NLP book. And it says from 0 to 7, or I would say even from the womb to 7, we
Mm-hmm.
absorb everything. We absorb absolutely
Wow.
everything. And it's called passive imprinting, right?
Okay.
And so basically, this is where we get embedded with our programming from our parents from 0 to 7. And it's stuff that we subconsciously, so it's below the surface, carry with us emotionally and for our whole lives until we get to the point where we're stuck and we need help in our lives. And we're like, okay, I don't understand like why I feel so blocked in this one area of my life, you know, and
Right.
we're going to talk more about that. And then from age 7 to 14, it's like our modeling period where, you know, we start looking outside of ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
we start looking outside of our parents, and we start, you know, accepting things and rejecting things based on our own ideas. And then from 14 to 21 is like socialization period, where the source of our values comes from who we associate with. And then
Okay.
what we value sticks with us forever, right? And then it just goes up from there, like business persona and whatever. But, you know, really focusing on like 0 to 7 is so, so valuable. I'm going to give you guys tools as we move forward to like help you really imprint your children to set them up for success.
Yes. I mean, what parent doesn't want that, you know? Like if we, and I think it's so important because like if you don't have the knowledge and the information, like, you know, you're just going about raising your kids the way that you're going to raise them. But if you did have this information, if you had this and you knew this,
Yeah.
this could help set the course and change the course for your children at such a young age, you know, to not saying that they're not going to become successful otherwise, but just knowing going into this, like from that womb to 7 years old, that you can
Yeah.
make such a huge impact on your children. And if there's steps, if there's something to like really like tangible, like knowledge information that can help you with this, like why wouldn't you want to go and seek that knowledge?
Yeah. And what's really interesting too is like I hear some people say, you know, oh, when my baby was this year old, or like a couple months old, something happened, but it's okay because they don't remember it, right? And actually they do remember it
Wow.
subconsciously because everything is stored in the subconscious mind. So
Yeah.
55% of our communication is through our physiology, right? Our posture, our gestures, our facial expressions, even the way that we breathe in,
Wow.
right? And then 38% is our tonality, like how we say things,
Sure.
how we sound. And only 7% of our communication is words.
Wow. I mean,
So
that's huge.
93% of our communication is energy.
Wow.
So
I
especially
mean,
when you're pregnant, it's so important to stay in like a really good energy, obviously to be out of stress and to be more
right.
in joy and to be in a state of ease and grace as much as you possibly can, because you are still actually imprinting your energy into the womb.
Wow. And you know, everyone talks about eating healthy and being active while you're pregnant, but like we don't hear much about this. You know, you don't hear much about all the other stuff that you just mentioned, you know, everything down to your breath, and maybe like if you're having anxiety or stress, all of these things, like that also impacts our babies too.
It really, really does. And what's so interesting is, so I just got my master practitioner in NLP, right? And there's the whole training is 2 weeks long. So I'm there every single day for 2 weeks. It was so
Wow.
intense. It was so amazing. And it leads up to having this breakthrough day. And so I was being taken through my breakthrough day. And what you do in NLP, in case you don't know, it's neuro-linguistic programming. So basically it is, you know, helping you understand the language that you speak and all the information that you're taking in, how you're making it, what you're making it mean in your mind.
So
Because
how you're processing it.
how you're processing it,
Okay.
right? So
Got it.
when we take information in, we're deleting information that's not relevant to us. We're distorting information that we don't want to hear, right?
Right.
And we're generalizing. And so we all have different internal representations of everything in our lives. We have different pictures for, you know, cat. Like I'll say cat, you
Right.
have a picture of a
Sure.
cat, and I have a picture of a cat. And
Exactly.
probably not the same picture of a cat,
Right.
right?
Is yours orange? Is it black? Is it brown? Is it white? Like, what does it look like?
Exactly, exactly. And so the meaning that we give our lives in any given moment is all based on our deep, deep belief systems, how we were raised, what time it is, where are we in the world, what our memories
Wow.
are, what our decisions are, right? And so neuro-linguistic programming helps you reprogram those identities and those
Okay.
belief systems to help you have different results in your life. When we take in all this information, NLP helps you rewire the neural pathways in your brain to help you have a different state of being, so you feel differently about what you're thinking and what you're believing, and then your behavior changes. And when you change your behavior, you change your results.
Got it.
So that's a little NLP like crash course.
Yeah. No, I love that.
And also your physiology plays a really big role, like how you carry yourself on a daily basis. And we're going to get into that when I talk about some of the tips. But when I was doing my breakthrough day, I was doing it around my business. And I had no idea where this breakthrough day was going to take me. And so there's processes that take you back in your timeline to help you release fear, anger, sadness, hurt, guilt. So you go through all these emotions. And once you get to the root of those emotions, it releases, and all those other emotions, like anytime you've ever felt that way before, they just fall away.
Wow.
So
That's so interesting.
it's so cool. It's so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah. This is what I do with my one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
So basically, when I was going through it, I realized that I was being brought, my subconscious mind was taking me back to when I was in the womb.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so
How did you know that it was that point that you were like getting to?
Okay, a great question. So when you're doing this work, you really want to trust your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind is the part of you that knows everything. It stores everything. Your subconscious mind is running your whole body right now. You don't have to think about blinking. You don't have to think about swallowing, right? It's all just being taken care of for you.
Exactly. So
we're only aware of like a little tiny bit of what's actually happening in our physical bodies, right?
Right.
And so you just have to, I tell my clients, like, let go of your conscious mind, ask your subconscious mind. So it's almost like you're in a meditative state.
Okay.
And you I was asked the question, what is the root cause of this feeling of guilt? And how old were you? So I just asked, and it said in the womb. And you have to just trust that whatever comes up is exactly what it's supposed to be.
Wow.
And so I just went with it. And you go back to that moment, and I just saw my mom with me in her belly, and there was this overwhelming feeling of her feeling guilty. And so I got the whole download of why she felt guilty, which I don't
like you knew without even asking her.
I knew without even asking her the exact scenario. That's how powerful we are and how much information we store. The exact scenario of why she felt guilty. And what happens is you ask your subconscious mind what it needs to learn from that event.
Okay.
And what I got was, my learning was that being alive is enough validation.
Mm-hmm.
That was my learning. I don't know what it had to do with feeling guilty, but I was releasing guilt. And so if you're a mom, like, there's that thing called mom guilt.
We all know what that it's all about.
Yeah, right? And so I just want you to consider that the guilt that you feel as a mom, it might not even be yours. Because what I realized was that the guilt that I'm not a mom yet, but I still have felt guilty throughout my life for different situations and scenarios. And even for like me wanting to transition into online business, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just changing things in my life, makes you feel guilty sometimes.
Sure.
And so I realized that none of that guilt was actually mine. It was imprinted onto me based on what my mom felt when I was in the womb.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, to get that knowledge and information, I mean, you must have to really like tap into, like be very like you were saying, in a meditative state. Like, so how long do you have to practice this for to get that information?
You can release that guilt in a matter of 2 minutes.
Wow. So it's quick. It's not like years and years of practicing.
It's not years and years of practicing. Anytime you really want to make a change in your life, it's like you're just ready to let it go. And so there's a process that you go through, right? Like this was a process, but
sure,
ultimately I was ready to let it go.
Yeah.
It was like the process was almost my permission slip in a way.
Gotcha.
But it got me there. And
Wow.
I texted my mom and I was like, hey, I'm doing some deep inner healing. And I just want to ask you, like, if this was true. Cause I'm very close with my mom. We're like best
Yeah.
friends. And so I told her the whole scenario that was given to me. And she was
Wow.
like, oh my God, that
She's probably
is,
like shocked.
she was shocked. She was shocked. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, like this stuff is life changing. It's literally
Wow.
life changing. And
Yeah.
I feel no guilt. Like my husband just turned 40. I ate a lot of food. I was
Yeah.
like, whatever.
You're
Go
like, no
for it.
guilt here.
No guilt here. Yeah.
So what about the moms that, I mean, I get it this myself. Like, I get a lot of questions from moms, like, how do you handle the mom guilt? How do you handle like, if you want to go out and have time for like you and your husband or just yourself? Like a lot of them, it's not even like them and their partners. It's like when you want time to like, go get your nails done, go get your hair done, go get a massage, go do something for you. And they feel that mom guilt because I don't know who created this, but it's like once you become a mom, all of a sudden, like you don't have to take care of yourself anymore, or you don't have to like, you're just not a priority anymore. And it's like, no, you need to make yourself that priority, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to show up for your kids or your husband or whatever. So like, what tips would you give to the moms that need to release some of that mom guilt?
Well, find yourself an NLP coach. Just
Yeah.
kidding. But, no, but it's like wearing a heavy backpack, you can
Yeah.
carry it around until you cannot physically carry it around anymore. And you have to take off that backpack,
Yes. That's a good analogy.
and like, it's a choice. It
Yeah.
is a choice. This is your life. You get to decide, you know, when you spend time with your husband, you can choose to feel guilty because you're away from your child, or you can choose to just be present and appreciate the fact that you can actually spend time with that person, and
Yeah.
you can actually go get a massage or go to the gym and take care of yourself. Like, if you're going to do the things anyway, why take the guilt with you?
Exactly. Oh my God, I love that, because it's true. It's like if you're gonna, and Ashley and I were having this conversation before, like we started the podcast. But I say when I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode. Like I'm in my office, I'm working, I'm very intentional with what I'm doing. And of course, like I work from home. So I do see the baby. I have to pop out and like give him a couple smooches and stuff. But then when I'm in mom mode, like from that second part of the day, I'm not in my office. I'm not working. I'm not, people text me unless it's like an emergency or something. I try very hard not to be on my phone. My attention's on my baby, on my husband, on what's going on. And that has helped me not have that guilt, because I know like what needs attention is going to get the attention when it's time for that.
Totally. And like, it could go either way, where, you could be with Jakey, and you could feel guilty that you're not working. It
Exactly.
could go either way.
And I totally like that's why I had to separate the two, because I was like, I was trying to get back to people when I'm with him, and then my attention's really not on him, and vice versa. Like when I'm working, then I feel bad that I'm not with him, so I'm popping in to go play with him for a little bit. But then when I told myself, listen, you need to like be intentional with the time that you have, because as a mom, and all the moms that are listening, they know like when you have 5 minutes or an hour, whatever the time is, you can get so much done in a small amount of time, because that's the only little nugget or block of time that you have to get things done. So you take advantage of it.
It is so true. And like, I really respect you and the way that you just described time, like being intentional with your time. And it has to do with like respecting time too, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that we all have the same amount of time in a day. And so it's really a matter of how you choose to show up to it, and how you choose to feel with what you do in those hours.
Yes. Yes.
And it all comes back to choice. It all comes back to you just deciding like, okay, I'm going to be here now and be present with my work, and then I'm going to be present with my child.
And I love how you had the analogy of the backpack. Like you can either take it with you, or you can like take it off at any time and enjoy what you're doing, and like be present in that moment. Whether if it's with your kid or your husband or your partner or the gym or whatever it is, like don't feel like that's dragging you like back to wherever you're having that guilt. Like be in the moment, and not feeling like guilty for doing what you're doing.
Totally. And to also know that you are a powerful creator, and your thoughts are creative, and your feelings are creative, and we're manifesting our lives all the time. I think people forget, like they think of manifestation and they're like, oh, well, I manifested that, but I didn't manifest that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
And
accountability.
yeah, like we're always creating. So if you know that you're feeling guilty, just know that you're going to create more situations and circumstances for you to stay in that feeling.
Wow. Yeah.
And like you said, how long does it take to let go of the guilt? How long does it take to create that change? It's like the backpack. It's like, it doesn't have to take forever. It really doesn't. You can change your life, your mindset in a second. You
Yeah.
really can.
Yeah.
You just got to take the backpack off. So it's just a
Right.
matter of how long you want to hold on to it for.
I love that. I love that. And I would challenge all the moms that are listening. Think of one thing like right now that you're holding on to that you're feeling guilty of. Maybe it's not enough time with, again, the husband, the baby, the work, whatever the situation is. And like envision that backpack and like physically taking it off.
I love that.
And like see how you feel after you do that. And then how do you feel going into whatever it is that you're doing?
Ooh, that's
Because
genius.
I think that if we can talk about it, but to actually do it and like pick a very specific, topic of what it is that you feel like you're carrying that guilt with and physically like think about you taking that off and then go do what you have to do. How much better are you going to do that? How much better are you going to show up?
Oh, put that in your course. That is so good. I love it.
So I love that analogy, and Ashley, I want you to also talk about a few tips that you can share with the moms about programming their kids for mindfulness and manifesting success, because I think that, again, what mom doesn't want their child to have that and know what that is. And if you can create that for them, like why wouldn't we want to do that?
Yeah. And right now, before I get into that, I just feel really guided to say that like wherever you are in your momhood, in your life, you're doing an amazing job.
Oh,
like you're doing
it's so good for all the moms to hear.
Job. And I want you to know that too, Sandy. Like you're doing an amazing job. Amazing. And
Thank
so
you.
number one, I didn't make this my number one tip, but I'm going to make it my number one tip. Number one tip, like give yourself credit for the amazing work that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. And so, number two, I would say is always embody what you want your children to model. So
Great.
physically embody what you want them to model, right? Hold yourself in the way that you would want your kids to hold themselves. My mom always used to say to me, put your shoulders back, right? Like stand up straight. So like she would say, she would show me stand up straight, like that's a simple example. But people always ask me also, can I manifest for my kids? Can I manifest for my kids or for my husband? Right.
Right.
And the thing is that you can't manifest for other people, but you can only embody what you wish for other people to do. So you can actually entrain other people's energy by showing up the way you would want them to show up.
Right. And I think that's also, I've heard this before with how people treat you, like we kind of teach people how to treat us in the way that we respond, in the way that we react, so if someone is constantly coming to you, maybe it's a girlfriend and she's constantly coming to you with like her issues and her problems, and you sit there and you listen and you listen and you listen and you're like, listen, I don't have time for this anymore. Like she'll keep laying it on until you're like, listen, I'll be here for you. I will support you. But like, girlfriend, you gotta help yourself at some point.
Yeah. Like you need a boundary.
Yes. So it's kind of like the same thing when you kind of are setting up those boundaries.
Totally. And also, like it's like when you see someone who's just kicking ass in the gym or like eating really healthy and you're like, wow, like I want what they've got, or they're doing something great. And you're like, what is their energy? Like, I want that energy. And you see that and it makes you want to do that as well.
Yes.
A lot of people get caught up in comparison instead of actually realizing that they just want more vitality in their life. You know what I mean? And more excitement. So embody what you want them to model. Number two, use words that empower and not limit.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so my mom always used to tell me, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Anything you put your mind to. I find that this is where a lot of people with like deep money blocks have issues because their parents always said like, we can't afford that, or we're broke right now. We don't have money. We have to work so hard to make money. That's where our beliefs come from when we're that young.
My mom's favorite was turn the lights off. We don't own the electric company. Did you ever get that one?
Oh my God. Yes. My dad always, like, if I turn the heat up a little bit, he would be like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Totally. And there's words that you can say instead. So just be mindful of your words. Like, if something is too expensive, you could just say that's not a priority right now, or we're going to go do something outside and be together, or, something like that. Also, if you use solution focused words, so our subconscious mind takes everything personally. So you don't want to say like, don't do that, or, don't talk like that. Don't be rude. Instead you could say like, thank you so much for helping mommy clean up, or thank you so much for being such a sweet girl, or thank you so much for like thanking them in advance for how you want them to show up. Because when you say don't do this or don't do that, that's called an embedded command.
Wow.
Where it's like, okay, don't think of a blue tree. What are you thinking of?
Yeah, a blue tree.
Yeah. You're like, blue tree.
Yeah.
So our subconscious mind takes it all personally. So you want to really focus on what you want instead of what you don't want when you talk to your kids.
I love that.
And then number 3 is remember that they're creators, and you have to remind yourself that like you have to tell them that they're powerful beings and their thoughts matter. I used to think that I could think whatever I want and it didn't matter because it was only in my head. That is so not true. Our thoughts are magnetic. Our thoughts are pulling other thoughts into our reality. So our thoughts are actually manifesting. So what if you knew from a very, very young age about law of attraction, right? That your thoughts create your reality. What if you knew that? How valuable would that be? So it's like, get knowledgeable about how powerful you are as a mom. Get knowledgeable about how powerful your mindset is so you can teach that to your kids.
Right, exactly. I mean, I love the fact that also, how we speak to our kids, no matter how old they are, it's so powerful. Like what we do for Jakey at night, we always do these affirmations. So I always tell him, you're so strong, you're so smart, you're so handsome, you're so kind, you're so, you're going to help so many people and change the world. And Jared and I each have our different like versions of how we say it. But every night, he gets that. And it's for me, it's like, my mom said the same thing. She was like, you can do anything, but this is like another version where I feel like you're just elaborating on, what their strengths are. And I feel like it's so important for our kids to hear that, because if they're not getting it at first from home, like they go out into the world and there's so much noise and confusion. Like it's easy for the other stuff to come in and like very easily fill their heads with whatever else is going on. So I feel like at the forefront, it's like, we need to be that strong foundation for them, like from the beginning.
That we're so aligned, because that's literally what I had as the next thing is affirmations.
Oh, wow.
It's so powerful to do those. I'm so glad you do those. Like and when he's old enough, have him stand in front of the mirror. I am handsome. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am rich in love. I am loved. I am powerful. They're so important.
Yes.
So important.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
And my last tip, I have so many, but I had to like condense it, right? My last tip is define your family values together.
Love that.
With your partner and with your family, or if you have a coach, work with your coach. Like define your values. Ask yourself, what's most important to me about family? And then notice your answers. You can even do this on your own, right? Like, what is most important to me about family? And notice what comes up. Is it in a positive or is it a negative? What's important to me? Well, that we don't have debt, or that we don't have this, right? Notice where your mind goes and just be mindful of those things that show up. And then, get clear with what you value. Do you value presence? Do you value giving energy? Do you value love, integrity?
It's almost like the love languages, like what the love language is, but for the family versus, a partner.
Yes. Yeah. And like, how will living from clear values impact your children's life? Growing up, obviously I had values like we had values, but I never knew what presence was when I was 5 years old. I never knew what I knew what quality time was. I knew what integrity was, but I didn't have like set values that were like, this is what our family believes in.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think if you knew that at a younger age, like if your parents, or any parent, not just your parents, but any parent was like from the beginning, like defining your family's values together as a unit, like how do you think that would have changed, like from the beginning? I mean, do you think it's something that like, it would change the course? It's like, who knows? It's like that movie, The Butterfly Effect, it's like
Yes.
one little thing changes, it could
So
change
true.
everything,
It's so true. I mean, I always say like, I don't regret a thing, right? Like looking back on my life, and if you're listening and you're like, man, like I'm in regret right now, like that is so not the intention, because everything that you've ever been through has made you who you are, and who you are
Mhm.
is so valuable and
Yeah.
important. And, you're exactly who you should be.
Yeah.
But, I think about if I had those like clear cut values, like how much more aligned I think I would feel. Like I would know if I'm feeling bad, it's probably because I'm not operating from what's most important to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I also think too, is it probably came to you at the exact time that you needed it, and
Totally.
that's for all of us, not just you, but me, all of us. Like,
Yeah.
for what I'm doing here with my podcast and my courses, like I couldn't have done this had I not had a child, like I wouldn't be able
Yes.
to connect and resonate with moms, because I wasn't a mom. Like if I had done this before I was a mom, so I think everything in life, like you said, we have to be grateful for those experiences, whether good, bad, or in between. And what we can do is learn from that and like change it to how we want our lives to look from the experience.
I love that. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's so true. Everything is happening for you.
Yeah.
It really is. Everything's happening for you, to support you, for the mom that you are, for the person that you are, for everything that you're creating. A lot of
Yeah.
moms probably listening are in business as well. And so it's all happening the way that it's supposed to happen for you to make the impact that you're supposed to make on the world.
Yeah. And, to all the moms out there who are in business, it may feel, cause it's so funny. Like I feel like I'm never doing enough. Like I always feel like in a day, like I'm not getting enough done. Or if I have a project, I'm like, I was sick the past couple of days. I'm like, oh, I was laying down and I wasn't getting work done, but I really felt like my body needed rest. Like I needed to like press the restart button, but my mind was going crazy because I was like, oh my God, I feel so like out of, purpose right now because I'm just laying here and resting and not doing anything, So I think to all the moms who feel like you're not doing enough, I have people who come to me all the time and they're like, how do you do so much? I'm like, really? Like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything right now, So I think just know that, like, kind of like what you said, Ashley, in the beginning, like all you moms, you're doing an amazing job. As long as you're doing the best that you can do and like you're showing up for your kids and giving them love and of course, food and giving them what they need, like that's like you being a great mom. So I think we can never hear enough of that.
I completely agree. And also, if you have this overwhelming feeling all the time that you're not doing enough and that you can't seem to shake that feeling, I would say like get support around that, because that energy is being transferred. And so you want to really be mindful of like, if you're feeling that way, you wouldn't want your kid to feel that way, because you look at your precious baby and you're like, you're so enough, you're so perfect, you're so everything.
Yeah.
And like you were once that child.
Yeah.
So that you've never not been enough. You've always been enough. And so it's just being at peace with that within yourself.
Right.
I help so
I
many
love
people
that.
do that. So it's really important to, recognize that that's the truth.
Yeah. No, I love that. And if you could leave the moms with like maybe 3 tips on, again, if they're trying to work through something or maybe, to challenge themselves now, like maybe they're in a state now where they want to release whatever feelings that they're having. Like what maybe 3 steps, like if they were just to start today, what 3 steps could you give them to help change that mindset?
Okay. I would say journal out what it is that's really bothering you. Journal out what it is that you feel like you can't let go of, and get it from inside of you to outside of you. So journaling is really powerful because you're putting it on paper and you're literally putting that energy that was once within you out, right?
That's great.
And then you read it back. And when I read what I write, I'm like, wow, I'm so ridiculous. Like, I don't need to believe this anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, we just tell ourselves lies. And so journal it out, put it outside of you. And the second tip would be, give it a name. Okay. This is going to sound a little weird, but it's like, I call it our deep inner critic, right? And our deepest inner critic is that voice inside that's like, you're not doing enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not lovable enough, you don't have it together. So give that little voice a name, not anybody you know, like not your
Right.
mother-in-law.
Right.
Don't give it just give it a random name. First thing that subconsciously comes to you. So when it shows up, when you're in your life, you can just recognize it and be like, that's not me. That's my deep inner critic. And that's the voice that tells me lies.
I have never heard that before. That's amazing.
Thank
That's powerful. No, it's powerful because you can literally say, this is not me. Like this is that inner critic just popping up, and it's like one of those little games where you play with the hammer, like smash it down.
Yes. It's literally that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's literally that.
I love it.
And then the third tip is to disrupt. Okay. So when those things come up, you recognize it. And instead of giving into it, instead of doing what you would normally do something different. Don't go with the drift of autopilot. Instead, like, have a dance party, go for a walk, like shake your booty, do something different. And what that does, it's called a pattern interrupt to your subconscious mind.
I love that.
And it interrupts the old stuck energy, and it like creates a new pathway.
So like if you're feeling overwhelmed, like, so for me, I know a crazy time is like when I'm running out the door and I'm trying to get the diaper bag and the snacks and the stroller, all these things. And I get really overwhelmed in those moments. So it's like, instead of being overwhelmed, like dance for 10 seconds, break it up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's work to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you actually have to break the pattern. Or in that moment, sometimes, like, if I have negative self-talk come in, I'll just be like, stop it. Stop.
Yeah. Say, talk yourself out of it.
Cancel, clear, delete. Cancel, clear, delete that thought.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like something else. I
love that. That's amazing. I feel like I've gotten so many tips today and so many things that I've never even, you don't think about this, it's something that you don't, unless you're going through a training, or unless you're very, focused on this type of learning. It's not something that you hear on a daily basis. So I love all the tips that you gave to us. Where can all the moms find you, connect with you? I know you have a course that you have coming out as well.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm on Instagram. It's my fave place to be.
Yes.
It's called, my Instagram is at manifest_with_Ash, or at Badass Manifester. And I have a Facebook group called Manifestation Nation, where we talk all things manifesting. And my course is called Create Your Life on Purpose. So it's a course to connect you to your calling so you can discover and live in your purpose. And it's just a course to help you I can help you identify exactly what your calling is in one simple sentence that literally will change your life.
Wow.
So that's the course. And it's actually on sale right now. So
nice.
Yeah.
So just say the website one more time, and also your Instagram handle.
Okay. Manifestwithash.com at manifest_with_Ash.
Perfect. And I will also put that in the show notes as well, so everyone can connect with you. Ashley, thank you so much for being on today. Again, I don't know if you can see because of my lighting, but all of my notes that I have that I took today.
So
yeah. So lots of great information. I hope all the moms were taking notes. If you didn't take notes, go back and re-listen and take notes. Yes. So make sure you connect with Ashley on Instagram and go check out her course as well. So Ashley, thank you so much for being here with me and all the moms today.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time, guys.